Maybe an adult would step in and say something, but nothing. Not a word. It was like a wall of silence. Nobody was talking. The girl wasn't talking, and the other kids, it was like no big deal. Monday rolled around and it was like nothing had happened.
Scene 16, the chorus of good kids.
My name is Alyssa Cokinis. I just graduated from the University of Iowa with degrees in English and theater arts with an emphasis in creative writing. Before that, I grew up in Des Moines, Iowa, where I went to Waukee High School, and it was in 6th grade at Waukee that I started getting really interested and invested in theater, and so I've been doing it ever since. I had a lot of great high school experiences that made me want to continue studying theater in college, or while I struggled a little bit in the beginning, like first or second years of college with theater and like what I wanted to do and how I wanted to get involved, I really feel like the past couple of years I've kind of found my place in it, and I've been really happy doing it since.
Great, and the experiences that you've had here at the University of Iowa Theater Arts, you came in fresh, and you've done different things on stage and off stage. Tell us a little bit about those experiences.
So my experiences at the University of Iowa have mostly consisted of either being on stage or working behind the scenes kind of from a more creative standpoint as either like a dramaturg or as a playwright. I did direct one reading of a play while I was here too, so that was incredibly fun as well. But I love acting and I want to continue to try to be an actor, but my real passion is in writing plays and seeing them kind of come to life. And that happened in January 2017 with my play Happy Pills at the university, and that was an incredible experience to see that come to life.
And you're getting to spend the summer as the dramaturg for The Importance of Being Earnest.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yep, I am the dramaturg for The Importance of Being Earnest. And for those who don't know what a dramaturg is, basically it's just a bunch of historical research done. It's a way to make sure that you're translating what's on the page to the stage effectively, and that the story is being transferred or translated well. And that's been a really rewarding experience because it's my first time with like a professional theater company, and it's in Iowa through the university, so it's been fantastic.
And is it a daunting task, especially when you're picking something like The Importance of Being Earnest, which has been for so long and is such an established play? Does it make it harder or easier to get involved in that?
I was actually really surprised I got the job. I thought they would go to someone who was maybe a little older or had more experience being a dramaturg or doing that kind of thing, but I'm really grateful I got the opportunity. And yes, it was incredibly daunting because I really like Oscar Wilde. Like, I read The Picture of Dorian Gray. Obviously, I've read Ernest a million times because I'm a theater major, and he's a very quirky, or he was a very quirky, intelligent man. And to be able to not only bring his own biography to the the community in Iowa City, I find it to be a great challenge to kind of interpret Oscar Wilde or Shakespeare. Those are just two of the big names that really strike me. And when I think about like my favorite like old playwrights or old theater artists, of course I just think of them. Which is why I was so thankful to work for Iowa Summer Rep this summer as the dramaturg for the show, and why this last spring before I graduated I took an advanced acting class in verse, Shakespearean verse, and so with Carol McVeigh. Just add Carol in there. Yeah, Carol was great. I really loved that class too. It taught me more like having to act Shakespeare than reading it in an English class. I learned so much more about how those pieces are supposed to be interpreted, and I'm really eager to share that knowledge with the world, and I hope I can continue to work with some, I mean, of course, I love new work, and I want to work with new playwrights and see their vision come to the stage, but I would love to work on older productions as well, like The Importance of Being Earnest or any Shakespeare play at all.
And then in addition to theater, you've also done some film work. In a really sad self-promoted moment here, but you've also done some film work. How do you go into that differently?
Film is very different. Film is very different to me. I don't know a lot about film, I'm gonna be honest. I only started dabbling in it, like being on camera, and I wrote like a full-length screenplay for a class, but that's about all the experience I have in film. I don't even watch movies a lot of the time, but I'm really fascinated by like participating in it. I think there's like theater, there's so many elements to film. And so I'm thankful I've had the opportunity to be in several short films by students, and of course.
Why do you think they hate us?
I think they hate us because we're different.
They know nothing about us.
There's a word for that.
Xenophobia? I think that's the word you're looking for. Fear of the unknown.
Sounds like it.
That's been rewarding.
Now that you've graduated, you're taking a big step going to China. Talk about how you got in that. What events led you to be going to China to teach theater?
Yeah, it all started when I was just planning on moving to Chicago after graduation. So in February, I was looking at jobs online on the League of Chicago Theaters website, because I was like, I still really want to work in theater. I don't care if I'm poor. And I saw this ad for drama teachers in China through this company called Enreach Education, and it just seemed like fun. And I've never been out of the country, and I have a great desire to travel. So I applied, I got a first interview, it went really well. They said, we'll be in touch, and I didn't hear from them for about 3 months. Even after I'd sent them a reminder email in April, I was kind of poking them like, hey, is this still happening? But they contacted me again at the beginning of May, and I had a second interview 2 days after I graduated from the University of Iowa. All Skype interviews, of course, which are very intimidating. And then I got offered the job, and I thought about it for a week, and then I signed the contract and accepted it.
And if it wasn't complicated enough, you've also got this where you're going to an entirely different country, entirely different culture, and an entirely different language.
Yeah.
So how do you prepare just to get there? You haven't even gotten there yet, but there's got to be a lot of background and a lot of learning comes into it.
Yeah, there's so much I have to do, like even outside of the visa process, which is just I'm gonna say it, State Department, it's confusing in and of itself. I'm confused, I'm working through it. Outside of the visa process, I am packing up my entire life and all the possessions I've ever owned and preparing to put it into storage or sell it. And then I have a Mandarin tutor who's teaching me some basic phrases. So, ni hao, hello everyone. And yeah, they provide lesson plans for me, so when I get there, I can, like, I've been thinking about like specific lessons I might want to do with the kids, because they're like, if you want to do a lesson, you want to plan your own, go ahead. We have these provided for you, so I think I'm going to rely on those when I first start working. But before I even start working, I have to go and take a course in teaching English as a foreign language in China. And then I have to leave China to wait for my other visa to process, my work visa to process, and then I have to return to China after that's processed. Yeah, so it's really just like technical logistics stuff. Everything else, like I'm prepared for culture shock. I know I say that now, and in a year when you ask me about how was China, I'll be like, well, the culture shock was really different. But I'm preparing myself for culture shock. I'm trying to learn the language so I can, not just be a typical like expat working there and just wanting to speak English. I really want to connect with people on like a local culture level too.
And you talked about you're going to be teaching there. Is it to college, high school, junior high, or? Yeah,
it's mostly to like elementary, middle, and high schoolers, and they're all at varying levels in English, but all my teaching in drama will be in English. So half my time I'll be working at Enreach Education City Center, and I'm based in Nanjing, so the Nanjing Center, and then the other half of the time will be at surrounding area schools, doing drama clubs, drama periods. Since drama's mostly an extracurricular activity, I'm like teaching it, but in their free time away from their other classes.
And then has the fact that you've done theater, is that going to make it any easier? Where you have this, where you've been out on stage in front of all these people, does that help? Does that at least give you a little hint of what it'll be like teaching these students who don't speak English?
Not at all. No. Because of my training in theater, I feel a lot more comfortable approaching people and like hopefully being like a mentor to people, but I have experience working with like older teenage students with the International Writing Program's youth program Between the Lines that they have. And I worked there for 2 summers, so I've worked with students where English isn't their first language. But then again, in order for those students to get into the Between the Lines, they do have to have a certain proficiency in English as well. So, and they're all from like the Middle East or Northern Africa and Russia and kind of that area. So I'm really jumping in kind of, feet first here. Yeah.
And then the plays that you'll be teaching, were those choices up to you, or has that come part of the curriculum? Did they say you have to teach these playwrights or work on this stuff?
They provide that stuff and like specific plays, and a lot of it is like kind of more classic work, like A Raisin in the Sun. I know is definitely on the curriculum. I think if I approached them and I said, this is a really good play to teach to this age level and this English level of students, like I would really like to spend a week on this play in class. The company seems like they're gonna be really receptive and really open to like, if people want to try different things in the classroom.
And is there a certain advantage that you have some of the classics of Shakespeare that have been done for 500 years, probably in every country on earth? Is that easier for you to communicate with them?
I think the older students, I don't think I'll be teaching that to younger students. So with the older students, I think, well, I shouldn't say I think, because a lot of native English speakers have a lot of trouble reading and, reciting Shakespeare as well. And I know I've always kind of felt an affinity for Shakespeare's work, so I've always been really invested in learning about it. But until I took my verse class with Carol McVeigh in the spring, my last semester, I really didn't have as much knowledge as I do now on Shakespeare. And even now, I know, like, I'm literally just on, like, the tip of the iceberg with it. There's so much more to know about him. And so I think when it comes to teaching Shakespeare to students where English isn't their first language, I want to, like, skim the surface enough to make sure they're understanding certain concepts, but if I feel they want to know more, or if they're asking me questions, then of course I'm gonna geek out.
And what other kinds of challenges, what do you hope that you'll, no, wait a minute, let me go back and start that
Okay.
over. Yeah, what are your biggest hopes for the next year? What would be the perfect ideal experience?
Great question, because I don't know how to answer it.
Okay, we'll go back to that.
No, it's okay. I'm thinking about it. I don't even know.
How about what other kinds of challenges do you think you'll find there? It's not just the teaching, but living there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's got to be a little scary.
I am a little scared, and I'm glad I'm a little scared, because if I was really calm about it, I think I should be more concerned. But definitely just, and of course, like Nanjing, from what I've learned from friends who've my Mandarin tutor actually did her undergrad degree there, so that was really convenient. And then my other friend from Beijing's been telling me things, and just like being prepared to be like stereotyped as an American, which of course is totally warranted, because America kind of has a bad world image, in my opinion. And so I hope by me going there, I can not appear super American, if that makes sense. Like, be willing to learn about the culture of China and of Nanjing specifically, and learn about its history, and be invested in speaking the language with locals. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then what are your biggest hopes for the next year?
I just have a lot of fun, that I find like something fun in every day. Yeah, that I don't feel too homesick.
And then this is the hardest question. What do you think you'll miss the most about America?
Oh gosh. Definitely my family and friends. I think of anything. There's nothing really like material or specific that I'm really gonna be like, other than like maybe pasta. I'm really going to miss pasta. I'm gonna tell my dad to send me like a box full of like Italian pasta noodles and sauce, but other than that, no, just my family and friends, definitely.
It happened. Do you know? You must know you were there, because I don't remember.
My friend's friend? She saw everything. There's the story that
Mary
people
Sue
tell
is
about
a
you.
good
And then
kid.
there's the story you tell about yourself.
There's what you believe.
My little
Not what you
Johnny
believe,
would never do something
what
like
you want to
that.
believe.
How could you even
And
think
then
he would
there's
do something like